Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So we just finished the farm here behind the Madeiraville elevator, and now we're going to move on to the new 80 that we picked up in this area. So this is our first year on this farm, and actually, to be honest with you, this will be my first time on this farm because it was corn and Dad planted it, so I haven't been on it yet. So this farm on the one side of the road, it's an 80 split in the middle by a road, so there's two 40-acre fields. The one side of the road, which be the west side, that field has a ditch that the previous farmer literally farmed through. So we continued to farm it the way that he farmed it. So it's going to be interesting. So we'll get some video when we get there. Dad said you got to be careful because it's pretty deep. It's nice and feathered out on each side, tapered out, but it's deep. So it's going to be interesting. The water from across the road to the north actually flows through this waterway, ditch, whatever you want to call it, through this field. So hopefully it's not too wet. Now this field here, over here, was fairly wet, but it was no big deal. We just cut some tracks out there. It's kind of a heavier, like a clay soil mix out there, but didn't have any trouble with it. We got through it just fine. In fact, I only turned the power guide wheel on once on the 9650, just to help me to steer around on the end to get back on the roads I wanted on because it was kind of greasy. So we'll get moved over here and get started. I'm going to clean that windshield so it's not so hard to see through, because it is a little dirty. I got new windshield wipers for the 9650. They're just in the back of Dad's truck, the back seat, shoved in the seat pouch. I just don't have them with me. I don't have this truck with me. But takes, 3 18-inch windshield wiper blades to replace the wiper on this combine. It's got one at the top and then two down here to replace. I originally thought it was one big one until I went and got them at the John Deere dealer the one day. I didn't pay that much attention to it, and they're like, "Oh, it takes 3 wipers." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." All right, we'll get there and see what we get into. Alright, let's get this broke in. Getting off the road here. Past our end rows. Where'd George go? So, okay, there's George. We got some pretty good corn here. Along here somewhere starts that ditch, I believe. coming up here pretty soon. I see where it's coming across the field on the other side of the road. Yep, here's where it starts. Too bad. Dad said he thinks it has a gravel bottom. This opened up a little bit. We'll go back and get the grain cart. Got 4 semis today that are not our trucks hauling. Got Cousin Matt's too, and then we got 2 of Roush Trucking's semis hauling. The other day we got 16 loads out of the field, so that was pretty good. Alright, I'm going to open up this corner some here. Car coming. Back through the ditch we go. Okay, we'll finish getting this opened up. We'll get some video later on. Well, we were waiting on a truck. I was sitting there in the combine, and Dad pulls up with the other one beside me, and he points down at the ground. And I'm like, what's he pointing at? So I got out and I walked around thinking I had a leak or something. Well, it turns out I got a flat rear tire. You can't see it in the mirror, but sidewall split on one of the rear tires, and there went all the air. So Schaffner Tires on their way with a new tire for it. They're Firestone tires. They're the same thing that you run on the front of a front wheel assist tractor. So that's going to be pricey. So I'm going to unload and we'll park it up here in the corner where Ryan can get to it easily and get it jacked up. And then I'm going to go be truck driver for a little bit. Yep. Well, at least it's only flat on the bottom side. Oh, man. Can't remember where was it? There's a, oh, right there. Yep. Slit right there. It's actually cracked. I don't think anything actually did it. I think it just cracked. We'll get a new one. The other side actually looks fairly new compared to this one, so it's happened before. Now that is some good service. Within an hour, Schaffner Tire was here to put a new tire on the 9650. That was quick. Ah, look at that. Brand new tire. Still got the nipples on it. Alright, we can go back to picking some corn. Well, we've got the other 40-acre piece broke in. I'm going to head down to the middle of the field now, get the center opened up. Got my new tire on. Feels a lot better now with the new tire. I wondered why it was feeling like combine was moving a little hard, like kind of like maybe a brake was dragging or something. It's that flat tire back there. Our gears flying out. Sometimes they just fall right out. Both heads, doesn't matter. Red or green, the gears fly out. I'm going to slow my head speed down just a touch. Yeah, there we go. 660 RPM, that's better. That'll help. Shorter corn, it seems like you want to slow it down. Taller stuff, you want to speed it up, get those stalks sucked through. I think if we have a good rest of the evening, we will be done here tomorrow easily. The problem is the elevator is closing at noon because they're going to be full of wet corn again. So what we're going to do is Cousin Matt has a couple bins that Pioneer got the seed corn that was in them cleaned out. It was raw seed corn that they had taken to their facility. They shelled it, they dried it, and they stored it in bins until they had time to process it as far as putting the seed treatment on it and putting it in bags. So now that those bins are cleaned out, Matt said that I could rent those from him. So I'm going to be putting some of my corn in off of a couple farms that I farm, and then Dad has some corn that he's going to put in them off of some other farms that we farm. Like I've said before, I call them my farms because they're farms that I picked up on my own. But we still, Dad and I still farm them together, make all the motions together and whatnot. Just everything is handled in my name on those farms. So there's not really a separation of any kind. It's just my farms and whatever he originally was farming when I was growing up, basically. putting grain in bins again, which is not bad, not bad at all. Especially when we use Matt's swing out auger and everything. Swings right under the trailer, dump it right in, good to go. It beats waiting in line at the elevator. Problem is, when the elevator fills up with wet corn and they have a train come to empty them on dry corn so they can dry more wet, the problem is during that period it is very slow to dump trucks because of the way that they have to route the grain through the system. Their one grain elevator or grain leg that fills the train does double duty. It fills the train or it runs the dump pit for the trucks. So the way I understand it, when they're filling the train, they use a smaller grain leg to dump trucks with, and that's what really slows it down. When they're not filling the train, they get to use the big one, and it really empties trucks fast. It empties the pit out quick. That's the way I understand it. I believe they're 100-car trains, and if I remember correctly, it's like 4 or 5 semi-loads per hopper car. So they move a lot of grain out of there quick when the train comes in. It's an actual CSX Grain Express that comes. It's kind of cool when it comes because it's 2 CSX locomotives, and a lot of the cars say CSX Grain Express on them. I'll be glad to get moved back closer to home. Even just getting to my 2 farms, you know, that are on the like Pulaski County, Stark County line. Those are a lot closer to home than coming all the way down here to Madeiryville and Francisville. I mean, I don't mind coming down here one bit, but I like to get back around home. Then it's closer to go back to the shop if you need something or bring fuel or whatnot, you know. I can't imagine being some of these guys. Well, I don't know if many guys do it anymore, but back in the 70s and 80s, there was guys that used to farm around here, and then they'd go to like Texas and farm, and they basically farmed all year round is what it amounted to because of the climate in the different states. But I can't imagine coming here farming and going to Texas and Oklahoma and farming. You know, it's a lot of driving back and forth. And some of them hauled some equipment back and forth. Back in the heyday of the mint farming, there was a couple farmers that, you know, done the same thing. They'd go to Michigan, Wisconsin. They had acreage up there that they'd farm. They'd have mint distilleries and things like that built, you know, in those places, but still they'd take their manpower and themselves and go. I guess back then, though, things were different because things weren't as expensive. You could afford to have, you know, equipment at each place. Can't imagine trying to do that this day and age. Decent combine, brand new, is $500,000. I guess a 12-row John Deere corn head now is like $200,000. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. I wish I could have grew up in the time of the 60s, 70s, and 80s farming. I wish I could have even got to enjoy the early 90s of farming. Only I had a time machine and I could go back. I'd go back to the 2-cylinder era, the 40s and 50s, and start there and be retired by the 2000s. Then I'd go back and live it all again, but like on the railroad side of things, and then I'd go back and live it all again on like the heavy equipment side of things. I keep getting in my time machine and going back and coming back. I'd be one tired old man by the end of all of it. Need to find that fountain of youth to drink from. Go drink that, stay 34 years old. Do this for another 10 years, go work on a railroad for 20 years, and go do something else for 20 years. Just like that movie Jungle Cruise, where he never ages. I know one thing, if I went back in time, I'd find some building somewhere hidden, and I'd stuff it full of 20 series John Deere tractors and all kinds of stuff that's worth a lot of money now. Collector's items that I'd like to have that I can get back then. Alright, that's enough of me rambling. It would be cool to go back in time. Maybe if we take this up to 88 miles an hour, maybe we can go back in time. I don't know if we can get 88 miles an hour out of third gear. We can try it. Darn cord. Going between the stripper plates. Got little ears in some places. Alright, I'm gonna keep picking so I can get home and get some supper. I'm getting hungry. Well, today's the day. It's December 8th. We're gonna finish Madeiryville and we are going to head back home. So I'm pretty excited to get back around home. It's fun being away, but like I said, it's a lot easier being back around home. So all we got left is just these rows here. Really not a whole lot left. Half a semi load maybe. Cousin Matt was in my combine this morning. He unloaded it. I had a hopper from last night on it still. And it made history. It's the first time that since I bought it that somebody's run it other than me. Well, I take that back. Madison ran it shortly after I got it. She thought it was so easy riding in the buddy seat, and I let her actually run the combine. And she's like, "Oh, it's harder than it looks. You got to stay on the rows. You got to keep the head in the right spot." I'm like, yep. Like, I just don't sit in here and party every day all day long. There's a little more to it than just driving. Kept wanting to go so slow, and I'm like, you got to get some speed up or it's going to be harder to steer and stay on the roads. A little bit quicker pace, the easier it is to stay on the roads. So I got all the parts now to put the M3 back together. So I'm going to work on that. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, which is Saturday. It's supposed to rain. So I'm going to go ahead and get that header drive shaft put back in. Or counter shaft, or whatever they call it in the book. I thought I had one but an L2 is different. It's longer, and that puts the keyways in the wrong spots and things like that. So I just went ahead and I ordered a shaft for an M3 or an M2. I'm just gonna put it together new, all new bearings, bearing holders, all that good stuff. This was a wet spot when Dad was planting this. He said there was water in here 6 inches deep. And try to figure out what to do with that. There's no ditch close to tile it to. So the M3 will be back on the channel here in a little bit. Still got Josh's corn to pick with it and it's low ground. Darn big ear just fell out. I hate that when that happens. Nothing you can do about it, it just happens. Open up my stripper plates a little bit. Getting a good corn, you gotta open the stripper plates. You getting the junk corn, you gotta close them. Constantly open and close them. Some corn heads have automatic ones. Finish this field up and we'll get heading back home. Well, Madeiryville and Francisville was fun, but we're out of here. Time to go back home. All finished down here. So let's get back home and see what we get into. Probably in this video, I'm not sure. We might go pick some corn yet. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the weather's doing when we get back home. Looks like it could rain a little bit. So if we don't do that, I'm gonna go in the shop and work on the M3 and I'll finish the video out that I've already started on that project. So let's go see what happens. Well, right here on the edge of the road, we got a bald eagle eating something. Dead deer. You don't see that often. Bald eagles. Never used to have them. Now we do. It's kind of interesting. Well, we got back home and we decided that we were going to go fill some more trucks. So we took our 3 trucks, went to the next field, and since conditions are right tonight, we're going to at least fill these. And then tomorrow we're going to set up the auger at Cousin Matt's bins, and we're going to fill two bins because the elevator isn't going to be taking corn until the train comes, and that's going to be like Tuesday at best. So we're just going to finish out tonight what we can. We got the 3 empty trucks and the grain cart. We'll fill them, we'll tarp them, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. So I think I'm going to start a whole new video for tomorrow. So thank you for watching, greatly appreciate it, and we will see you all in the next one. Have a good evening.